Alright folks, I've got a good video for you this afternoon. Now first of all, I know that some of you think that I am quite a bit of a different person than you guys are. And that is true, I am. I'm quite a bit of a different person. And you say, Jerry, you think that you are a descendant of the ancient Merovingian fisher kings. Yes, I do. And you think that you are a descendant of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and this blue belt symbolizes those who think, shame on those who think evil of it. Yes, I do. And you also think that you are a descendant of the tribe of Judah. Yes, I do. And my blood lineage shows so, folks. And I know some of you are going to say, well, you say that these pharaohs are the kings and queens of the earth, so how can you be a descendant of Judah, which is Jewish, and how can you be a descendant of pharaohs at the same time? Well, a lot of you people have never been educated correctly in your churches when it comes down to God's, the descendants of Jacob. And the reason why that I say that is, have you ever seen my video of Genesis 30? And Genesis being the genes of Isis? You need to watch that video, okay? Jacob fathered the 12 sons of Israel, and he was Jewish, right? But his wife, Rachel, was barren. So what did she say? She said, Jacob, take my two handmaidens, Bella and Leah, and have your children with them. And he did. And who was those two women, folks? They were the daughters of Pharaoh. Okay? So that's why you're getting the whole thing about the fleur-de-lis and the concept of three of Isis, Horus, and Seth, which I'm not a descendant of. I'm the descendant of the Merovingian kings, and that's different than the other 12 bloodlines, but I'm not getting into that right now. You have that symbology of royalty and the pharaonic symbology, but the tribe of Judah. But what I'm trying to tell you is, this tribe of Judah, which is Jacob, this represents Jacob, and this represents the handmaidens. And Genesis 30 actually is a metaphor, folks. When he was trying to separate the goats from the sheep and the spots that come in them, it was a metaphor. He was trying to separate the good children that he had from the bad children that he had. And every time he got rid of the ones that had the spots on it, which were the Egyptians, they reappeared. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor, guys. It wasn't literally goats and sheep, okay? As this book is full of. That's why that Genesis is actually, from the Greek sense, the genes of Isis, okay? So now you're going to say, well, Jerry, I just don't believe that, and you are not... you're not any different than we are. Well, I tell you what, let's see how different than I am than you. Do you want to do that? We can do that. Let's see how different I am. Let's see here. I had someone that knows me here just brought me in some complicated math problems. And I just told her to make some really sophisticated math problems. And guys, I don't have any sheet to go by here when it comes to this. I don't need it. So let's see if I'm any different than you are. You want to? I've got 4 mathematical problems here. So let's look. Here is 1,090 times 138. Can you calculate that right off the top of your head? It's 150,420. So let's write that down. 150,000. Well, I might have to find something else to write here. These pens never are worth anything anymore. They never are. Okay? So, let's go to the second equation here. And I'm looking directly down at you guys, man. I'm not looking at anything else. 1,538 times 338. That's what she put down. But you probably need to see it this way. 1,538 times 338. Which that was the other problem. Let's do it correctly. But this is the other one. 1,538 times 338. That is 519,844. Okay. Let's see here. 1,952 times 465. 907,680. Okay, let's see here. 2,852 times 758. 216,816. Used to, I couldn't remember, but maybe 5, 6, 7 words or numbers at a time. I can remember a whole page full now. So how different, folks, am I than you? Oh, I don't even want to get into that. Hold on a moment. But anyway, we're going to get into some stuff today that is definitely different, folks. And give me 1 minute to get set up here, because I just throwed all this together. I just walked through the door a moment ago. Sure did. Just walked through the door. So, let me look here. Okay. Here's what we're going to go to. Now, every age that you enter into, that age occurs every 2,160 years. Okay? And some of you may have heard, well, I've heard it only occurs once every 2,000. No. That's not correct, and actually I had to fight the internet to let me see this. But finally it did. It's 2,160. Between the leap years and the world time clock being off, folks, it's ever so slight, but there's a 160 variance in that. 160 years. So that's why you guys can't ever seem to ever get any of these dates right of everything that happens in the world that you live in. The only thing you can do is guess. But guess what, folks? That's about all ready to change. And guess what? I'm going to change it. Because you have been hoodooed. Oh, brother. Now let's see here. That's Chaplain Bob there. Hold on a minute. The astrological age is a time period in astrology and theology, and astrologers claim parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants, particularly related to culture, society, and politics. The astrological age corresponds to the 12 zodiac signs in Western astrology. Advocates believe that when one cycle of the 12 astrological ages is completed, another cycle of the 12 ages begins, which is correct. The length of one cycle of these 12 ages is 25,860 years. Now, I don't know where they come up with that one at. If you enter into another astrological age in 2,160 years, how could one cycle of that age be 25,860 years? Not unless they're saying that the 12 all added in together is 25,860, but that's not the case here. That makes no sense, folks. If you have an astrological age that lasts 2,160 years, then how would the cycle of that age then turn around and be a typical one cycle age of one of those lengths of those 12 to be 25,860? That's not right. Oh well. But anyway, Because the Earth slowed by 1 degree every 72 years over a period of 2,160 years, it moves backwards 30 degrees. And therefore the sun begins to rise in a different constellation on the morning of the equinox and solstice. See, they just told on herself, folks. If it goes to a different age, if it goes to a different constellation, and it's 2,160 years, how can it be 25,860 years to complete a cycle of that? But many people never catch those sort of things. The internet is full of crap. It is. It's full of crap. But anyway, it's awfully interesting, too, though, that this 72 years, it's how old supposedly Aleister Crowley was when he died. And we're supposed to be entering in as, with a waterfall age is what this is supposed to be. Now, what they say is they say that this is the age of Aquarius that we're entering in. Folks, it is not. No. It might be the waterfall age, all right, and the water's going to fall, the Pisces in this age. Oh, brother. But, it's definitely not that. Now, let's see if this has anything. The age of the waterfall. Well, the age of the waterfall would be the water falling, wouldn't it? Yeah. So let's see here. Religions and revolutions, and there's a live seminar for that. Well, and then over to the right-hand side, you got the star of the fire god Moloch back behind that one woman. Telling you the truth, folks. The star of the fire god Moloch. Okay, now here's another thing. The change from the Julian to Grigorian calendar. The Grigorian calendar was first introduced in 1582, but it took more than 300 years for all different countries to change from the Julian to the Grigorian, also known as the Western or Christian calendar. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you something. The reason why it took that long to do that is because it was an agenda that they used to do that, okay? It was an agenda. And you're going to say, well, who had that agenda going, Jerry? Well, somebody that calls herself your heavenly father in Italy, okay? Now, let's do the connections here that I say the Julian calendar is the actual calendar, and the Gregorian calendar is the dumbed-down sheeple calendar for the stupid and illiterate people who believe just anything. That's what I say. Oh, no, Jerry, that's not right there because of this, and such and such said that of an authority. Well, the first thing that Jesus said, folks, whenever that they asked what will be the sign of thy coming, what did he say? Let no man deceive you. All right. So September 11th was a very catastrophic time, okay? Now, it just so happens that if we take September 11th and we add those 11 days back on to go back to the Julian calendar, we get the very first day of the fall equinox. That's starting to make a lot of sense now. Was that Jesus Christ's supposed birthday, September 11th or something like that? No, it was not. Why would anything like that happen on his birthday anyway? That, folks, was the beginning of the Libra constellation. Just like my videos of Aleister Crowley and the Liber Oz, the Libra, okay? And September the 23rd, folks, and they kind of give it away right here on this one side. That is the birth of the sun god, or Lucifer. See? Now you know why that this was so important to the cult. I'm telling you, folks, this whole thing about, Osama bin Laden did 9/11, no. These people always does this stuff according to signs and symbols, and the most important day of the year for these people is the first day of the fall equinox, which falls on your calendar 9/11. But if you go to the original calendar, which is supposed to be the case, folks, these calendars, the Julian calendar was made according to precise astrological calculations. How can you just change that one day all of a sudden and say, here's your new calendar, folks? That doesn't work that way, people, okay? Now, Jesus Christ was a Pisces. You can see the symbol of the fish, the Pisces. And I say that Christ was born on March 20th. But that actually is March 31st, which only makes sense. And I also say that March 31st is also Easter. And guess what, guys? You can take a look at it for this year, because this year is at ground zero as to what it was 2,160 years ago. You have no 29-day variance at this point in time, and therefore it's revealing all these things, folks, okay? You have no variance, so it's absolutely exposing all this. And this is the Pisces, and he is March 20th. Now, February 19th is said to be what? The day of God. So the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Okay? That's what it would be if you moved it up to what it's supposed to be. December to the 27th, well, December the 25th, which falls under the same zodiac sign, is actually the symbol of the sea goat, people, the goat. And before you go too far into this and say, Jerry, you're getting into stuff that you shouldn't be into, this is devil cult, witch worshiping stuff. Let me tell you something, folks. God created the earth, and he did it off of these astrographs that he created. Satan has hijacked these. He's hijacked them. Okay? That's what he's done. He's hijacked them and said, these are mine. And then they've told the stupid sheep in church, don't be looking at this. This is satanic. Stay stupid. Yeah, that's what's happened, folks. See, the Capricorn right there is December the 25th. There's no way whatsoever this can be Christ. There's no way. Look, the ruling planet Saturn, like the Saturnalia god, the devil. You see it, don't you? This is a popular symbol of Crowley, by the way, too. And look at this. The mode is the cardinal. Yeah. How many cardinals you got in the certain church I know of? Oh, brother. It exposes a lot, folks, if you look at it. Now, Crowley, his birthday was October the 12th. And if you take a look at Satan's birthday, it was what? The very first day of the fall equinox. So, if you take Crowley's birthday, he is on the very last day. Very last day. So, what is going on here with this fall equinox, guys? I'm going to tell you what it is. You see this Libra sign right here? Look at this. See the Libra? Satan is depicting himself in this entire scenario as being the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. See, the Alpha, Lucifer, the Omega, same symbol as the Libra, the Omega, which is Aleister Crowley. It all lines up, folks. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, which, by the way, I'm telling you right now, nobody knows anything for certain. But this period of time you see right here, you better look out for it this year, folks. This is going to be a very bad time this year. With this new zodiac coming in, they say that astrological alignment only occurs once every 800 and some years or something. They're lying, folks. It occurs once every 2,160. 800 and some, where do they come up with that at? That has no prophetic meaning to it whatsoever. It's a lie, folks, just like the fish. Jesus Christ can't be a Pisces if he was born on December the 25th. It's impossible. That's the time of the sea goat. You see now what's happened to you, folks? Do you see? Hold on. The Alpha and the Omega. Look at the Omega sign down here, folks, in Greek. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And so what does Satan want to be? He wants to be the Alpha and the Omega. Lucifer and Crowley. Telling you the truth, guys. See, there's the fish. symbol of the two fish. And the waterfall thing we seen a minute ago, as you can see the elements water here, and it says a waterfall era. Oh, brother. Better take heed to that, guys. I'm not going to get too much into it right now. The waterfall era. Mars Maximus, Theotitus, Pacificus, and Asaphrodota, and Aphrodopoulos. The holy martyrs, Maximus, Theotis, they all portray to be what? Holy martyrs right there on, on February the 19th, which is the beginning of God, the Alpha and the Omega. Jesus Christ was born March 20th. That's the Omega. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, Christ and God. One and the same, folks. He says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. And right here is the whole thing about Christ's birthday. Was it really on March 20th? And it only makes sense, guys. The only time sheep would be pasturing at night was during the spring lambing season, when ewe lambs needed care. Bethlehem lambs were set aside for temple sacrifice, and Jesus, the Lamb of God, thus was born, which means the beginning in the ancient Jewish New Year. But it would mean the end in the Astrograph calendar, which in the end, he will be the king, folks. It only makes sense. In which the Exodus from Egypt was originally celebrated as a new beginning, and God spoke to Moses and Aaron in Egypt. This month is for you, the first month of the year. At first, one small Jewish community still observes the new year of 1st Nisan, rather than Rosh Hashanah. They say the Nisan were redeemed in the past, and is Nisan destined to be redeemed again, as the Exodus from Egypt took place in Nisan. So, 2 for ultimate messianic, Jesus' Holy Spirit conception and birth mirrors the original Old Testament tabernacle that took 9 months from conception to the completion. And the Word became flesh and tabernacled, or dwelt among us. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. A beautiful image of true Christmas. Christ stooping low to draw us to the Holy of Holies. Might Jesus our Redeemer have been born on March 20th, 1st Nisan. When he was born, does it matter that he was born and shattered our calendar? And it does shatter the calendar. And it only makes sense, folks. What does Christmas mean to you? And what was he, folks? That's the time of the lambing season. And what was he? The Lamb of God. And it's actually March 31st, because you move it up 11 days. And it's actually March 31st is also Easter. And if you take a look this year, where you have no variances whatsoever in those 29 days that it's off because of the tilting, the fluctuation of the axes of the northern and southern poles, you don't have that variance of 29 days that would be there. This year would be the time that all that would line back up again. I've got a little diagram here for that. It would be like you would start out with Jesus' birthday here. And folks, I'm telling you, this is the age of Pisces going into Aquarius. We're not going into Aquarius right now. We're going into the Messianic age. They're lying to you, folks. It's all a pile of lies, man, by the Holy Father. So at 1080 that you have at your midpoint, that would be the peak. And then as it systematically comes back down and mathematically comes down, you see, here's where we are again with the astrological alignment. Thus, that tilt of the axis, that little twitch in the axis that is causing that 29 days off, that is now lining back up again perfect from the beginning of one age to the other. And so now all of it lines back up again, and you can see now that we are going into another age. All of it lines up at dead zero again. Now it will begin at this point in time to start having a variance that will increase as the years go by, systematically, because of that little bit of a twitch off of the axis. The secret societies know these things, folks. December the 25th is actually the birth date of the sun god, folks. Okay, it's the birth date of, it's also supposed to be the birth date of Tammuz. And you can see the sundial symbol on top of his head. Which you know who Tammuz is, or you should if you study biblical knowledge of any kind. And Merry Christmas right there to the god Baal, the fire god, people. Sacrifice your children on that day. Spoil them to death to the point where you sacrificed them to society. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. If you don't believe it, March 31st and is Jesus' birthday, and you don't believe March 31st is actually the Easter, and that's the full lunar eclipse, guess what? The next day's April 1st, and you're a fool. Can't make it up, folks. You can't make it up. The first coronavirus, let's see how all that worked out with these, and I'm not saying anything. You guys know how I feel about this coronavirus thing. It's the BBB, marka BBB. December 14th, 2020 was the first one it was given out. You take 11 days, it goes to December the 25th. And December the 25th is the day of the birth of the sun god and Baal the fire god. Well, isn't that awfully nice? And December the 1st was the rare alignment between Jupiter and Saturn. No, wrong. It was the alignment between every single astrological planet in this solar sphere is what it was, folks. Not just that. It was the entire astrological alignment of it. Every single planet. And you need to see my video, Praise the Lamb of God, and I will actually show you some things about this whole COVID thing. In that video, it all lined up together, folks. It didn't have nothing to do with just two planets. And if you take December the 21st, which makes no sense whatsoever on why that would fall on such an odd day, and add 11 days to it, what do? You hit the very first part of that calendar year, which is what astrologically only makes sense in terms of precision. Add 11 days to it. So now we got December the 25th for the first time the shot's given out, and December 25th for the first time the shot is given out on the Julian calendar, and on the Julian calendar, this astrological alignment took place at what? The New Year. You see now, folks, where you've been had? If you can't see it, I don't know what to say. You are now entering in to the fifth and final age of the earth, or the mixing of the clay. Like in the book of Daniel, of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And it won't adhere to one another. Fifth and final age, folks. That's what was being showed in Nebuchadnezzar's dream that Daniel deciphered, actually. He was going through the ages. And you're entering into the two that will not adhere to one another. The fifth and final Messianic age. The time of the Gentile is over. Telling you the truth, guys. The time of the Gentile is over with. And what that means is, for God's people, for Jesus Christ, it's not good, folks. So now you know that I'm not exactly like you guys, man. And I'm tired of being lied to about this stuff. Okay? You know, they took Latin out of the schools in 1966 and they made everybody illiterate in the United States. Telling you the truth, guys, if you can't speak grammar, if you cannot speak Latin in grammar and you can't speak Greek, you are illiterate. Period. I don't know how else to put it to you. You are illiterate if you can't If you did not master the art, at least of grammar, in school, you were illiterate. And actually, some of the people even went to the schools back in those days and made an argument to the teachers, which the teachers said they couldn't do anything, that if the children had grammar taken out of school, that the children would be illiterate. That they would be illiterate. They're doing all this to us, guys. Ripping your reality out of hand like this. Well, I got a series of videos coming up I'm going to show you. I think this is the end right here. Yeah, but folks, this whole thing of not being able to taking grammar out of school, differentiating your calendars, lying to you about when these dates are, which if you don't believe that March 31st is the date of Christ and the day of resurrection from the tomb, take a look at the lunar eclipse this upcoming year. There's a full moon on that day. It all astrologically lines up. Take a look at it. Go research it for yourself. This is all, it has to line up, folks. This is what the calendar was made after. The astrograph and the calendar has to coincide with one another. That's how it was designed. That was the creation of it. And when you got somebody changing it to the point where it doesn't line up, well, there's been a serpent at work. There certainly has, folks. I know who that serpent is. He sits proclaiming to be God, too. You know who I'm talking about. There's only one Holy Father in this entire world, folks. And that's Jesus Christ. That's right. Yeah, it's been an agenda, people. It's what it's been. You have been lied to no end. And you remember what I told you about that, the Libra, the time of the fall equinox. It's going to be a prophetic time this year, folks. I hate to tell you this, but I think it's going to be the Great Tribulation period. Now, do I know that for sure? No. But according to everything that I'm seeing going on, maybe. Because God, folks, never gives. He never gives a prophet certain definite dates. Only He knows those things. But just like Noah entering into the ark and taking everything in by twos, he knew the time was drawing near, even though he didn't know exactly when the first drop was going to fall. And this is kind of the same thing with me right now. I can't tell you when the first drop is going to fall, but it's going to. And this does not look like a good time coming up. Thank you for watching my video. I have some videos coming up that's going to be just for the Christians, and it's going to be Aleister Crowley and the Aeon of Horus and the Great Tribulation period. That's what it's going to be. You need to stay tuned for it, guys. It's going to have to be a series because I have tried to make these videos and cram all that in 1 or 2 videos. You can't do it. So you can either follow me on it or not, or you can do whatever you want to. Or you can just say, Jerry, I just think you're full of it. But you know what? When you take a look at all these calendar dates, folks, and they all match up, every bit of it matches up to a perfected T, right down to 9/11 being on the fall equinox, right down to Aleister Crowley's birthday being on the very end of it, the Alpha and the Omega, right down to Jesus' birthday being on the Omega Day of March 20th, which is actually March 31st, which would be the first of the calendar year month, which would only make sense. And it falls on the lunar dates. And Easter doing the same, which, guys, this thing about Easter being moved around from day to day to day, where did they come up with that at? What kind of sense of reasoning is there behind that? One time it's April the 4th, and then another time it's the 13th, and then another time it's 8th. I think what they're doing is they're just scrambling it in front of your face to where you don't want to know. They don't want you to know what it is. They don't want you to know. You know, this stuff doesn't work that way. This stuff has mathematical precision to it. And if it doesn't line up, there's a problem. And it's not debatable, folks. It's not debatable. In any sense of the word, it's not debatable. If it doesn't line up, it doesn't make sense. It has to line up astrologically with what calendar you have, with what age you have, Just like Jesus being the fish. Look at that. There's no way in the world it could be December the 25th. The sign is not that. It's the goat. Oh, brother, I don't know. But anyway, thank you for watching my video.